Welcome back to Five Ever Timepieces, the podcast where we break down the world of luxury watches. This episode, however, is going to be a little bit different. We're going to break down the world of luxury watches, their cultural relevance, and how they tie into the global economy. I'm Chris, and today's episode is all about one of the most polarizing figures in modern American history, President Donald J. Trump. Love him or hate him, President Trump's influence on business, the economy, and overall culture is something that is undeniable. We'll explore a little bit of what's known of his watch collection, his potential impact on the global economy, and what this could mean for the watch industry. So let's dive in. Let's start with President Trump's watch collection. Surprisingly enough, for someone with his level of wealth and extravagance, the president's timepiece choices are relatively understated, at least by billionaire standards. The president is known for wearing a few key pieces. These include the Rolex Day Date, also known as the President. This iconic gold watch is fitting for a man like the president who brands himself as a leader. It's a symbol of success, it's a symbol of power. This watch is also something that's often associated with heads of states and various CEOs in different industries. Then there's the president's Patek Philippe ellipse. It's a unique choice that speaks to the president's appreciation for classic, understated luxury. Finally, there's the president's Vacheron Constantin Historiques Ultrafine 1968. This rare timepiece here, it just showcases the president's occasional preference for elegance over bling. Interestingly enough, though, the president doesn't flaunt his watch collection the way you'd expect. This restraint right here reflects a more calculated persona, someone who wants to project wealth without screaming it. It's a subtle message of, I don't need to try, I've already made it. But with President Trump, let's zoom out to the bigger picture, his influence on, the economy, the president's influence on global economy. As not only a former and now current president, businessman, and media mogul, his policies and rhetoric, they often impact markets worldwide. For example, with his former tax cuts, these tax cuts and deregulation, they stimulated economic growth that, particularly benefited high net worth individuals and the upper middle class. And then there was his trade wars with China. They caused some volatility, within the global markets, but they also push a few industries to reshore their manufacturing here in the United States. So what does this mean for the watch industry? With the president's return to office, with his return to the political stage, we definitely could see a continuation of his influence within some economic policy. So, for example, we could see, you know, stronger demand for some luxury goods. Tax cuts for the wealthy and upper middle class could lead to some increase of, disposable income. That could fuel a demand for some high-end watches. It could be a push for some American manufacturing. If the president's policies, which they do, they favor domestic production, so we could see a surge in some American-made watches. Brands like RGM could definitely benefit from this. Then there's the market volatility. The trade wars or the geopolitical tensions, they could disrupt supply chains, impacting, availability of gold, other materials, silver, steel, even sapphire crystals. However, when things like this happen, in volatile markets, luxury brands, they're often, they're often seen as investments. Luxury brands typically thrive in volatile markets just because somebody might say, "Hey, I can park my money here with this piece." This seen as stable investments. Then there's like, how could this actually benefit the watch industry? A few different scenarios could be um, increased prestige from some iconic brands. If the president, openly endorses a specific watch brand, it could drive a demand for it. For example, he's always seen with his Rolex Day-Date. You know, Rolex and Patek Philippe, for example, these are already two dominant players. But with an open endorsement from the president, you definitely could see a surge in popularity. Then there could be some investments in high value timepieces. Economic policies favoring the wealthy often lead to greater interest in investment grade watches, pieces like vintage Rolex Daytonas or limited edition Patek Philippe's, limited edition Audemars Piguet's. We could definitely see some skyrocketing prices here. Then with the president's return to the office, we could see him rebranding or branding things that could appeal to middle class consumers that aspire for luxury. This right here could inspire brands to produce what, a few entry level luxury pieces similar to um you know Trump's Movado collaboration. But then there's also the advocation for made in America from the president. This right here could, well, it might reignite interest in domestic watch brands, that could create a few new opportunities for growth and innovation. So let me just close out with this. Whether or not you agree with the president's policies or not, there's no denying his ability to shape, you know, national markets here as well as global markets. His ability to influence consumer behavior is something that needs to be studied. His taste in watches reflect both his power, his brand. It's a mix of luxury and accessibility. For the watch industry, though, the president's impact could usher in, like, maybe I want to say a renewed focus for, you know, aspirational buying, American manufacturing, and the enduring value of luxury timepieces. Well, that's it for today's episode of Five Ever Timepieces. If you've enjoyed this episode of our deep dive into Trump's watches and the economy, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and as always, DM us on Instagram with your thoughts or questions. Until next time, keep ticking.